I recently did this shot in the short film, The Last Stop, and it has some pretty cool stuff going on. So here's a quick breakdown of how I made the shot. The first thing that I did was find a reference image that everybody liked. Then I had Vince take a whole bunch of pictures of the elevator from every angle, which I all took and mashed them into a single image that I then took into Materialize and made a metallic, roughness, and normal map for. And that is all projected onto a low poly elevator model that I made. And once I was done with the elevator, I went to textures.com and I grabbed a few concrete textures. Those are just slapped onto a very tall cube. Then looking at the reference, I filled the scene up with pipes, cables, etc. the same way that the reference did. After that, I stole this metal shelf type thing from Blender Kit to fit around the elevator to give it support when it slides up and down. Everything is mostly lit up by the one red light coming from the elevator, but there are two other very dim lights bright by the camera to help lighten up the darkness. Now I wanted a little bit of lens distortion and I didn't want to change the crop after the render, so I used the panoramic camera type and then used the fisheye lens. After that, I added some sweet epic volumetrics in the world shading tab to really make it look cinematic and add these sweet little light rays. But it still felt like something was missing, it just didn't feel fast. So I added a particle system and simulated these nice dust particles that get whipped up by the elevator as it flies by. Then I simulated the rope being pulled down. Up top, it looks a little funky. That's just to give the rope some more shake and make it more organic, you know? Then I added this awful model with some noise modifiers to make it look like it's dangling. Just don't look too closely at it because it looks awful. For those of you who care, here are my render settings. I cut back on bounces and I added a volume bounce. I unchecked all the caustics because there really isn't anything complex going on and it saves me some time. You'll notice that denoise is unchecked. That is not because I didn't denoise, but rather denoised all the layers separately and then recombined them. By denoising only channels that need to be denoised and doing it separately, there's a lot more info. That way artifacts and temporal flickering are minimized. It's really great, you should definitely try it. The very first thing that I did with compositing was add a little bit of a soft glow, and then I added a vertical camera shake, so the camera's only shaking up and down, and then I added another camera shake on top of that, and this camera shake only when the elevator came close to the camera. Renders right out of the box are always way sharper than any camera could ever pick up, so I add some soften, lens blur, and glow to bring in some of that natural diffusion or haze that a lens would bring. Then I add a whole bunch of flicker on top of that to help sell the shake. I do this in two nodes, one flicker gamma and one flicker vignette. With them slightly offset, it creates this nice strobing effect. Again, making it look more like an actual camera, I throw on some grain and a lumikeer to limit that grain to darker areas. Then I add one final soft glow on there just for the highlights, and then nothing will ever be complete without some nice lens reflections. And that is pretty much it. If you liked the video, maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe.